Zizek came, and because of his inflammatory comments about Muslims, by that stage there was a little group of us, about 5 of us, who didn't really fit in.
So what was the specific comments he made?
So he'd made, generally, I can't remember specifics, but he'd made a number of comments about Muslims. Like generally he just likes to provoke, and he'd made some provocative statements about Muslims. I don't remember what they were at the time. But he was well known for it. It wasn't like some obscure thing. And by that stage, there was a small group of us who weren't comfortable at the course. We're like, something's off here. And so we're sort of in our little group, and Zizek comes and we're like, we're going to challenge him on this Muslim question. Yeah. And so we do. We start, okay, whenever it's question time or whenever and we're like, okay, can you comment on this thing that you said about Muslims, or what's your stance? And we're just trying to push him on it. And part of it was bizarre because I was the only visible Muslim there. Yeah, and I had my big beard, bigger than today, and he would look at me and he would just be like, no, it's not the right time to talk. Like he wouldn't engage the topic. And we're tripping out. We're like, Zizek, like he blasts people to their face. He's not. A whole week we were chasing him. Every single seminar, we're like, talk about this, give us a comment, and he wouldn't do it. On the final day, we got flustered. We're like, this is ridiculous. We can't keep, So we said, all right, we've realized that every morning he comes to the building early and he goes to get a coffee from downstairs. So we're like, all right, we're going to catch him while he's at the counter, and because he kept running away. And so we're going to catch him when he goes to the counter, and we're going to make him talk about this topic. Yeah. And so we did. We sort of ambushed him as he went there, and we're like, all right, and we literally put it on him. We're like, you're going to talk about...
ambushing.
It wasn't Muslims. I was the only Muslim in the group.
Okay, right.
There's an Indian woman, there was a Jewish scholar, there was...
Muslim sympathizers, was that?
Yeah, no, they were just people interested in justice, to be fair. Like one of them was, he's become a very well-known scholar, Arun Kundnani. Okay. He wrote the book, The Muslims Are Coming. He was there. He was part of our little, clique. And we ambushed him. And we said, you're going to talk about this. And he used whatever deflection he could. He made a anti-Semitic joke to the Jewish woman. He made sexual joke. He did everything he could. Yeah, whatever he could just to get out. Yeah. And then because he was sitting when we ambushed him, he had his coffee ready. Then he's like, all right, it's time to, like, he's trying to physically get out. And I literally grabbed him. I grabbed his arm and I said, no, sit down. We're going to discuss this. And he still wouldn't do it. He just would not talk about it. And as part of this was the final seminar he was giving. So in the seminar, again at the end, question time, we tried one more time, and he said, all right, you keep pushing me to talk about Muslims. He gave this beautiful little, I have a friend who's Muslim, and he talks to me about how Islam and Christianity are very similar, and they share.
Oh my god!
Yeah, he completely sold out. I'm like, that's not what you think. Yeah, this is just you running. So he never spoke about it. But in general, my impression of him ties in a lot with this discussions we've been having today. Incredibly, incredibly intelligent person. Incredibly intelligent. Has a very sharp mind that moves at a pace that you've rarely seen. But he's one of the most damaged people I've ever met. So he can't talk without fidgeting, without stuttering, without, his body is in constant conflict with itself. And he acknowledges this. Like, he's talked about suicidal ideations, he's talked about his counseling, he talks about all this sort of thing. But he's someone who's a perfect example of the secular dilemma. Incredibly intelligent. You cannot fault his intelligence. Yeah. He's in such a state of disequilibrium, you can just see pain all over him. And he talks about all of that pain. But this goes back to our conversation of heart and mind. Yeah. It's not enough. The mind is not enough to deliver us to that peace and that tranquility. It just cannot do it on its own. And he is a living example who I literally touched, and was there. He has no peace. And it reminds me of like watching. I don't watch, but I see him in clips of Jordan Peterson. Yeah, you can see it on his face. There's a darkness in his face. There's a heaviness to his presence. He's not happy. He's not tranquil. He's not peaceful.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I sense in his face sometimes.
You can see it. And he's always on the verge of tears. Like there's something going on in him. And obviously he had the big crisis and breakdown and whatnot. So Zizek was like that. It was an interesting experience for that reason.